Okay, so I'm going to detail my morning, which it wasn't great. You see, the past few days, it's been pretty stressful. I just moved back to my home country. I was living overseas for a little bit, so I'm back here in the good old land of the USA, for better or for worse. I've been just trying to adjust to what I would call, or what many would call, adulting, and that's definitely not an easy thing. Couple that with general struggles, like trying to get used to living in a major city again and driving, like it's really a nightmare here. And just all sorts of stressors related to the fact that I'm going through a pretty big transitory transition in my life. Obviously, I'm pretty stressed out. And couple that with just like some general concerns about like, oh yeah, am I going on the right path in life and blah, 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 blah. And yeah, things get pretty existential pretty quick. And thus, it throws me down into a bit of a rut. And so what do I do with that rut? I make the bold and grand decision to get on my phone and start scrolling. Like anybody else would probably in the big 25. And that's not a good thing for me. Because you see, I got on there and, I'm thinking that like, oh, I'm just going to watch some videos I like, some movies that I like, well, not movies, but like look at some content that I like, scroll on Reddit for a bit, see some other things to take my mind off of it. And we all have our escapes, our little vices. My personal one is music. I really like music. It's really fun. But the most convenient and easy thing to do is not to make music. And listening to it, I mean, yeah, but eventually you got to get sick of it. You just get on there and you scroll the infinite vast archives that are on the web. And that stuff, at a certain point, you take in so much information that you just feel like generally stalled. Like you feel like freaking sick in your mind. Like, like that like vague sickness, nausea that you may get from time to time. It's like the same thing, but a mental version of that. I got off of there and I felt no better. No better. All I saw was things that honestly either had like no real use or value to me, like just random like content that's just like shoved into my face, or it's other stuff that is genuinely stressful, news, and like even if it's not necessarily stressful, just people being like negative on the internet, it elicits emotion out of you. And eventually that emotion becomes pretty freaking toxic to you. It's not good for you at all. Because you're just constantly like riding that same high of negative emotions, of feeling a certain like low down version of anger. And it freaking sucks. And it sucks all the energy out of you. But yeah, you keep coming back for more. Because I'm not like immune to this. Okay, I'm just like anybody else. That's what these like freaking algorithms are made to do. They're made to make you come back. Okay, because that, it gives you more time to platform, blah, 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 blah. You get the point. You're watching a YouTube video right now, which was probably put in your recommended feed. Where am I going with this? You see, I grew up in an era where the internet was pretty already widespread, okay? You can't tell. I'm fairly young. I'm part of the good old Generation Z, Zoomers, whatever you would call us. I really don't care. Even for me, I would say, and maybe this is just nostalgia, maybe I was just younger at the time, but the internet genuinely felt like, it didn't like just like feel like such a drain that you can't get rid of, It just felt like a place that was just part of life, like if you're bored, you get on the internet and you see what's going on in the world, You get to see everything that you like, your interest, you get to just see basic stuff that's going on in the world. Okay, but not everything, okay? Like you still have to go out in real life and do a lot of stuff. The internet was just a facet of life. And where did things change? Where did things change? When did the internet become so very widespread? When did it become such an all-encompassing feature of our lives, one that we can't get rid of, one where everything goes on, including basically life itself? That was the pandemic. And everybody hates the pandemic. Well, maybe not like super like duper introverts, There was a fundamental shift around that time, okay? Because it went from being, just a part of our lives, just being a regular option for communication, being like this like central force in our life, but it wasn't all encompassing. Now it's like, okay, it's basically everything now. It's an all-encompassing thing now. It's literally life itself. It's a complete and utterly unescapable force in our lives in 2025. You would think that, okay, like we have this big technology, it's actually useful now. You know, it's become this such a big and developed thing that we have the ability to put basically everything on it. A lot of our communication goes on through it. You would think that those little like holocall things they have, you know, like say uh, Cyberpunk 2077, right? You know, the ability to always be connected to your friends, to your family, to your, you know, even your colleagues, if you like, you know, your coworkers and everything. You would think that would be a good thing. And the truth is that it just makes us more stressed out. I'm making this video, and I'm realizing that it's sort of a vent session. It's sort of a just like me complaining, but I don't know. I don't know if there's anybody out there who can relate, because the thing is that I make videos about technology, right? That's my favorite thing. I'm very passionate about technology. I'm passionate about hardware. All right, I freaking try to find the cheapest computers I can make. I'm passionate about software. Okay, about new and good, and you know, like preferably software that's like open, but like, you know, anything really, any new developments. But like, even though I feel that way, I also feel like a certain way about like a lot of different technology. I just feel like they've gotten to a point where like they're not even like helpful anymore. And they can be, but we've made them in a way where they're like, it's just not helpful anymore, and it's honestly just more of a drain on us. I mean, we can go into the obvious stuff like, okay, like AI is like a whole different discussion. Okay, I'm not going to go into that. I'm just focused on just like generally the internet here. I came to this park, okay, because it's been a pretty stressful past few days, past few weeks, past few years. And that's why I commonly do. I like to come to the park. I like to just walk around, be in nature, you know, run through some simulations and some thoughts, and you know, just generally appreciate my place in the world. And that's hard to do if I'm like always connected, okay? Because like it's just too much stuff to take in, like on the internet. It's way too much, okay? One minute you're like, you know, watching like cat videos, and like the next minute like you're like seeing a bunch of people like roasting each other or some crazy stuff, or you're being like radicalized down like some random rabbit hole, or you're just seeing like you're bombarded with like negative information from like 1,000 places in the world. Dude, I like the thought of being able to be connected with my friends and my family at all times, but like, bro, like it just gets to a point. It really does. I think there's a big separation in how the internet has been designed and how it's been structured to be a part of our life. Because, you know, like before the pandemic, right? And, you know, we were building up to this point anyway, but I feel like the pandemic accelerated it. We had the internet, and it was a communication channel. It was a part of life. It was a place where, you know, like you do things like, you know, like it replaced snail mail, and it replaces, I don't know, like, you know, cable television, you know, stuff like that, stuff like that. And oh my God, that's a mosquito. Okay, nope, get off of me. Yeah, it was all fine and dandy. There was issues, obviously. Algorithms were already an issue. Okay, maybe this stuff already was there, and it was already, you know, it was just as bad back then as it is now. But the issue is that we are in a more turbulent period of history of the world, and technological advancement is ever increasing, and there's no signs of it ever stopping. There's no sorts of, you know, any brakes being put on it. And I love development in technology, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, it needs to be positive, you know. I don't like it when it's negative. And am I going to be the one to change that and do all myself? No, I'm not. I don't know. I'm just putting my thoughts out there. Prior to it, that was the case. Now, post-pandemic, everything takes place on the internet. Everything is dependent on the internet. Your whole reputation is dependent on the internet. Your bills have to be paid on the internet. Okay? Basically, if you want to have a social life at all in 2025, you have to do it on the internet. You have to. You don't have an Instagram and you're in school. Okay, don't get me wrong. You can make friends. It's going to be pretty tough. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be a lot tougher than if you do have Instagram or Snapchat or whatever, you know? Oh, man. Okay, so I accidentally stopped the video like a second ago, and I decided I'm just going to go ahead and move spots to a grand old park bench. see a resemblance somewhere? So you're gonna need social media in order to have any sort of friends or, be a general part of society. And that's unfortunate. It shouldn't be like that. You should be able to have the choice to be able to make friends, to be a part of society, without having to have these apps. But I don't know. I guess freedom of choice has always been an illusion. I guess it, whether it's an illusion is debatable. But I don't think we've ever really truly had the freedom of choice in this particular conversation. Sorry, there's another mosquito on me. This wouldn't be so much of an issue for me if it weren't for the fact that, every time I get on these platforms and I spend time on them, I generally just feel worse. If I'm not actively taking time to really moderate my usage, to really hone down, I have to basically treat it as if in moderation, if it's junk food pretty much. I make technology videos, and there's a part of me that likes technology, but there's also a part of me that, after reading up so much of it, reading about it so much, and researching it, and trying it for myself, and seeing how everything works, there's also a part of me that just oh my god, I just really don't like it. It's really unhealthy. Why does our whole life have to take place on the internet? There should be a big separation between the two. Because the truth is that no matter what, the internet is not reality. It's not even an accurate reflection of our reality. Because you get on the internet and everybody's just making memes and roasting each other, and there's negative news everywhere, which that's not the whole internet, don't get me wrong, but that's the stuff that sells. Okay, humans are attracted to negative information, blah, 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 you get the point. So that's what mostly permeates the internet, And there's other stuff pretty the type of stuff that really elicits emotion in people. So whether that be negative news number 500 of the day, or just I don't know, a hustle grind set, video, or something controversial, brain rot, that sort of thing, memes, which I have no problem with those, honestly, but because it's just lighthearted, okay, people are just making jokes, but I just, it's not an accurate representation of reality. And spending too much time on it not only it not only just gives us an information overload and just leaves you feeling sick in the head, but it also just leaves you feeling worse. Okay, you feel more nihilistic. You feel just a lot. I mean, there's bad things going on, don't get me wrong, but look where I am. Look where I'm at right now. This place is beautiful. It's peaceful. Besides the mosquitoes jumping on my arms every 5 seconds, it's nice in this very moment. I'm not worried about the future. Oh my god, I just killed 3 mosquitoes on me. Gosh, that's crazy. I'm not worried about the future. I'm not worried about the past. Just being in this moment right now, it's fine. But I feel like being on the internet and having that multiplication, that complete surplus of internet, of information, it leaves you feeling that exact same multiplication factor of anxiety and depression and even sadness in the short term. So I've come out here mainly just to voice my concerns, my complaints, my thoughts, and my solutions are pretty far and few in between. I guess by making this video, I make more of a dedication to, not consume so much content and to maybe just focus on creating and, consuming the things that I do like. Okay, my Instagram feed, I try to just fill up with stuff that I do like, which consists of mainly music and art and technological developments. That thing. Oh yeah, and my friends too, obviously. I don't know if you can hear the crickets and all that stuff around me, but it's a pretty nice place where I'm at right now. Everything's all good. My arm itches from mosquitoes biting it, but it's fine. It's chill. It's nice. And I didn't even feel like going outside today. Honestly, I just felt like staying inside the house and sleeping in bed, because not only was I feeling bad about the things in my life, but I was also just, even subconsciously just feeling bad about the things that were, in terms of my future and all that. I was becoming more and more worried about my future, okay? To an unhealthy extent, because I was over-researching it on Reddit. Okay, I was on Reddit, like scrolling through every thread, reading every comment about like my major and what I should choose, and it just gives me like analysis paralysis, and I'm already bad with that. I'm already a bad overthinker. Giving me that much information, it just overloads me and makes me overthink more, because I'm not immune to it. I'm human, just like anybody else. So all I can really do is just convert that usage. I'm not going to just say cut it cold turkey. No, convert that usage into something else more productive, even if that's just, like a more productive part of the internet. The parts where we don't typically spend our whole life on. I'm not anti-internet. I think we should have it. I'm just anti, like, I don't know. I just want the internet to actually, like, I want technology to actually be like a good thing, and not just being like a kind of like a drain on me, my life force, my mental capacity, like society, like, I don't know. I don't know if that was a coherent video or not. This is typically something I would post on my second channel, but I felt so genuinely like, just like, kind of not good about it, that I felt like, oh yeah, I should post this on the main channel. With that said, yeah, go outside, touch grass, and have a good day. Chillax. See you around. Oh, I just missed that throw.